Shalom of Christ, Israelite School Universe Practical Knowledge, and GEN.YAHANNA. It's like we had some technical difficulties from the previous video. We're going to be in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 15. Give you a good second to get there, and then we'll get started. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass. And so meaning, a time will come, which a lot of our people, we sit there and we think that, this time that will pass, that will come, is something far distant in the future. Because we sit there and we think that America's society could never, truly end. It could never crumble due to our love, for our oppressor, for their people, their nation. If thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. And so if us as a nation, if we don't sit there and listen, to the voice of the Most High God, which the voice of the Lord is all throughout these scriptures. The Lord tells us to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. As a nation, whether you want to consider yourself a black, Hispanic, Native Indian, it don't matter. The Lord is talking to us as a whole. He's letting us know that if slacking, the Lord's letting us know that a time will come that we won't listen to him as a nation. To observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day. So that time will come to where we'll sit there and be like, you know what? I ain't gotta sit there and listen to these scriptures. I can eat pork. I can love our oppressor, and be a homosexual and worship all these different gods, and nothing will happen to me because of the God of this Bible, and he ain't real. He's something that's made up. He's a figment of your imagination. When in reality, the God of this Bible, he's the realest thing that you will ever come across. The realest thing you could ever think of, imagine, so on and so forth. The Lord is truly something that cannot be, just brushed off as being fantasy. Because at the end of the day, by doing so, the Lord, he's going to punish our people as a whole by us just sitting there and be like, this, this nigga, he fake. It's something made up by our oppressor all just to get us to be Slacky, all just to get us to be, subservient to him. When if we really sat there and we dug into this Bible right here, we'd find that there's future prophecies. You know what I'm saying? Prophecies going past, 2019, 2020, 2021. Prophecies showing us what will happen to our people as a nation if we sit there and defy the Most High God. I'm saying the God of Israel, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. I'm saying prophecies that we're going to get into, I'm saying here in a minute. Just to give you a sneak peek of what it is that is to come to our nation as a whole. I'm saying a sneak peek to come to the reservations all across America. Because whether you accept it, believe it, understand it, or not, I'm saying the Lord is going to punish our people because of the wickedness that we have done in the eyes of the Lord. So you can sit there and you can believe in all these, spiritual gods. You know what I'm saying? You can believe in the Christian God. You can believe in yourselves. It really don't mean a goddamn thing, because the Lord at the end of the day is going to sit there and punish our nation as a whole. He's going to punish our future generations because of the wickedness that we've done against the Lord. It's lucky. To observe, to do all his commandments. It's lucky. To observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day. Saying the Lord sat there and he told us to, love our people. You know what I'm saying? To love thy neighbor as you love yourself. But sadly, a lot of natives all across any reservation in America, we don't love our own people, which is why so many, natives sit in poverty till this day, which is why a native can come to you and ask you for simple things such as, change in your pocket, and you will sit there and you'll brush them off. And you'll see that brother or sister as someone that is dangerous and a threat to, whatever nation it is that we have established in America. So in reality, if we were taught to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, I'm saying we'd help that brother or sister out. I'm saying we'd sit there and we would give them whatever it was, whatever change we had in our pockets in order to feed and clothe them and whatnot. You're saying that's a very, basic commandment. I'm saying that's the most basic of them all. So it's simply just taking care of the people of your nation. It ain't nothing that is complicated or hard or something you gotta truly dig deep into, because all these other countries all across the face of this earth, I'm saying, they do these things. Like, for instance, was portrayed as one of the poorest, people on the earth, or nations, I guess you could say, is the so-called Africans. And you see nothing but commercials of these disgusting bastards starving all across Africa, or living in poverty, because they needing help from all these other nations, but yet at the same time, they're still getting benefits from their countries. Not only their countries, but their tribes inside of, specific countries. Which, if you didn't know, just saying that you belong to a specific country doesn't mean that you are just that one little group of people. Let's say if you say you're from Ghana. I'm saying that don't mean you're strictly from, I'm saying, you're just strictly I don't know how you call it, a Ghanaian. I'm saying whatever nonsense that is. I'm saying, but they also have their own tribes and tribes within tribes and so forth and whatnot, in order to establish a hierarchy in their countries. But yeah, our people, we are the main ones that sit there and we, make sure that we are just nothing more than, let's say a Navajo or Apache, a Arapaho, so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? We are from the tribe of Gad, so-called Native Indians. So we are more than we lead on to be as a nation. We're more than our oppressor makes us seem like. Because if us as a nation, not even a nation, but just as a single tribe, I'm saying, as a whole, if we recognize that we are the tribe of Gad, that puts us just beyond. So like, I'm saying, that puts us beyond something that our oppressor has labeled us as, and that he would classify us as. Because once we recognize that we are Gad, that means that we demand more respect from, not only a nations across seas, but from our oppressor. I think is we can sit there and we can say that we are whatever tribe it is that we're from all day, but at the end of the day, our oppressor is still going to sit there and do whatever it is that he pleases. He's still going to, steal our land, kidnap our women and rape them, murder us, pump drugs into our communities, pump his, ideals and philosophies into our communities, misguiding us even more than we already are. Which is why it's so important for us to recognize who it is that we are as a nation. Because by doing so, shoot, I'm saying, then we could truly become unstoppable. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day. Slovakia. That all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. You know what I'm saying? So the time will come that as us as a nation, that we don't, sit there and follow the law, statutes, and commandments, that the Lord will send curses upon us as a nation. And said curses will sit there and completely devour us as a whole. So you sit there and you look at, for instance, we already went into, the poverty of the reservations, but you can also go into the drug problem in the reservations. You can go into not only drug problem, but a detrimental thing in the reservations, which is relying on our enemies, which is why we strive so much in order to seek, some type of acceptance or approval in the eyes of the white man. I'm saying, our oppressor. And it doesn't matter how much we sit there and fight against, these ideals and these philosophies, us as a nation, because of the love that we have for these people, we will always seek their approval. Which, if you didn't know, if you seek the approval from the same nation that does nothing but oppress and destroy you, you know what I'm saying, that is completely and utterly a curse amongst our people. Saying that's just, that's slacky. That's just a few things that our people sit there and not only promote, but view it as being something that is, tawab or good amongst our nation. Damn well that doing these things, sitting there looking for acceptance, sitting there and relying on our enemies to provide benefits and things of that nature to our nation. Relying on these things is truly going to bring our nation to a lower state, just like it has in the past. Whenever we would sit there and think that whenever they'd send our children to boarding schools, they'd come back with all these different, I don't want to say gifts, but it's like all these different abilities to do these things that we didn't know of. I'm saying, but yet all these things that our children learned and these things that were obviously capable of being passed down, they never helped out our nation as a whole. I'm saying, our children learn basic necessities in the workforce of America, but yet we still remain in poverty. But yet we still remain in rundown houses and buildings and establishments, and rely on our oppressor in order to provide us with benefits in order to come out of this condition. When if what our oppressor provided us with back there in boarding schools and whatnot, if that was truly a blessing, as so many of the people from that generation, honestly portray it as, then our nation would be thriving. Off, what I'm saying, all the Gadites that learned how to build houses and, I don't know, manage finance and whatnot, all of them that learned how to do that, they would have been built up the nation by now. You know what I'm saying? That's been since the damn 60s. But yet our people, we still remain in the same condition that we've been in. We still remain in poverty. We still remain on drugs and being oppressed, and I'm saying, all these different type of things. But yeah, our people, we still sit there and we, visualize the American way of life and everything that it can provide to us as a sustainable, alternative to what it is that we were practicing as a nation. When what we were practicing was from this book right here. And absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing, that the white man can provide us with can truly outdo the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Outshine the Lord. I'm saying, I don't give a damn what it is. I don't give a damn if our oppressor shows you how you can make, you know what I'm saying, gold out of water. I'm saying what's in this book right here is far more valuable than what it is our oppressor can show us. It's far more valuable than making gold or jewels or gems out of water or even thin air. Our people as a whole, we just got to realize these things. It's like we'll be in verse 16. Lock you. Give me 1 second. Verse 16. Give everybody a second to get there. Let's see, while we're waiting everybody to get there, we're going to answer a couple questions in the comment section. Questions or statements, I should say, Salakia. Brother said it seems like there's a lot of animosity between the different Indian tribes across America. I'm saying, and that's something that is very true for us as a people. You know what I'm saying? But it's not due to something we have naturally. You know what I'm saying? Just a view that we have as another tribe, because of, like a personal beef and things in that nature. Is due to, the ideal that, whites have forced upon us as a nation. You know what I'm saying? Because the Europeans, they made us hate one another as so-called, separate tribes. And for instance, if you take in I believe it's the 5 civilized tribes. You know what I'm saying? The European man, he made sure to force not only us making different native tribes into slaves, but also our black or Hispanic brothers into slaves. They made sure to cause some type of a divide amongst us as a nation, because they already knew that by doing so, that it meant that, their people could thrive at the time. Like, for instance, if you look at the Spaniards, you know what I'm saying, they made sure to divide so-called natives from, the so-called Seminole Indians, or natives from the Mexicans, and natives from, the so-called Negroes. By doing so, they consolidated their slacky. They consolidated their rulership over these lands. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to dig deeper into it, you can simply look into the book called The Black Indians. I ain't got it over here in my stack of books right now, or else I could easily go to, the page in the chapter in which, it tells you of how Europeans would sit there and divide not only native from native, but native from black, native from Hispanic, and, so on and so forth. Saying, but if you truly want to sit there and find out, you know what I'm saying, if you're interested in and what is it the school teaches about blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians being all one people, the same people. If you want to find out more about how it is our oppressor sat there and separated us, all you truly got to do is sit there and look it up. Yeah, I'm right. Divide and conquer. You know what I'm saying? That's a well-known tactic amongst our oppressor. So you sit there and you say, "Oh well, these people, they got a different skin tone. They got mildly separate beliefs from you. Therefore, you ain't the same people." And then, the devil being the devil, he'll sit there and he'll turn, one against another. And I want to answer one more thing. I'm saying, not to point anybody out. I'm saying, which somebody in the comment section said it's like SHALAM, in which that comes from the Jewish man's, Yiddish. You know what I'm saying? The Jewish man, he says shalom, shalom. You know I'm saying, things in that nature to further deceive our people into learning, things that ain't truly our language, our way of life. Which if you truly want to learn, Hebrew, You know what I'm saying? The ways of our ancestors, you know what I'm saying? That holy tongue. Then, you know what I'm saying? You just got to look into the Hebrew classes that's happening all across America on Friday, every Friday. You know what I'm saying? We got a set class schedule, you know what I'm saying, laid out. All you got to do is look at the classes in your areas, you know what I'm saying, in surrounding areas, and you can learn the true holy tongue. Saying, but so many of our people, we sit there and we listen to what it is that is coming from our oppressor, especially the Jewish man, because we deem as what he says as being something that is, you know, holy and something that can't be, you know, not true. When in reality, the Jewish man is the biggest liar. You know what I'm saying the absolute top of you know the Edomite nation that lies to our people. We will be in verse 16. Cursed shall thou be in this city. Since if you look across any reservation, you know what I'm saying, across America, in our major, you know, towns and cities that it is that we've established, you know, obviously across, you know, generation, building a name for ourselves. And you can see the poverty that it is that we are in as a whole in these said towns or cities. It's like, you know what I'm saying, houses that don't have any proper heating or ventilation. So we're sitting there and we are either freezing whenever it's winter or we are overheating whenever it's summer. So we got to find, you know, natural ways, however it is that we can, in order to cool ourselves off, heat ourselves up, which is why damn near every single house, really every single house across the reservations, why they have a chimney, you know what I'm saying, or a fire pit, if you will, in order for them to, you know, generate their own heat throughout their own houses. Because otherwise, if we didn't do so, you know what I'm saying, we'd sit there and we'd freeze to death. But yeah, all across America, you can look at every single house and they all got, you know, their own ventilation. They got their own way of bringing heat and cool air into, you know, their own houses in order to ensure that they can live comfortably. Saying, but that ain't just, you know, all across them. It's like that ain't just across America, because in reality, blacks and Hispanics living in the ghettos, you know what I'm saying, working these low wage jobs, just struggling to get by. They aren't, you know, making all this money to where they can just sit there and live comfortably in American society. Just like on a res, you gotta, you know, if you ain't got a chimney, you gotta use your goddamn stove to warm your house. The same thing goes in the ghettos and in the barrios. I'm saying, you got to crank that bitch all the way up to high and then leave it open in order to ensure that you get some type of heat so that you don't freeze to death. You know what I'm saying? It's just well known amongst the reservations that you got to do these things in order to survive. You know what I'm saying? You know, blacks, you know what I'm saying, they look at that as if it's a everyday thing in order for us to survive in the ghettos. And then whenever a story comes up of a native that has to, do the same thing that they're doing, it's like it's a goddamn, like it's a rare case amongst our people, or just something that is so unheard of. When in reality, by doing so, I'm saying, it goes to show you who it is that the people, Slovakia, by doing this, I'm saying, it goes to show you that we are the same people, not only on the face of this earth, but that the Bible speaks about. Because no other nation has to sit there, I'm saying, in their cities and worry about whether or not they are going to freeze to death at night. No other nation has to sit there and be like, I gotta, crank my oven up to the high and leave that bitch open in order to make sure that my family does not freeze to death. Because if you look at any white, Arab, Asian, East Indian, African across America, I'm saying, these people, they have clear access to, all of these necessities that are needed for a human being. But yet, obviously so-called natives, we got to sit there and we got to, hope and pray in order for us to get, enough Salakia. In order for us to get enough, Salakia, I'm trying to find my words here. Salakia. I'm saying we got to hope and pray in order for us to save up enough in order for us to keep our gas on, I'm saying, to warm our houses. Because at the end of the day, we rely more on our goddamn gas than we do, obviously on electricity. So I can read that from the top. Cursed shall thou be in the city. Not only is that talking about our own cities or our own towns, but that also goes into whenever we venture out into, the cities of America. So not only do we have to face poverty in these areas, areas that are well funded by the government, but we also have to face against discrimination from these people. Such as, for instance, there was recently a Super Bowl, that was celebrated all throughout America, all throughout the barrios, the ghettos, the reservations. You name it, they had it. And while we're sitting here struggling in the ghettos, America is sitting there and celebrating the goddamn, there are teams that are mocking, natives all across America, such as the Chiefs, which recently won the Super Bowl. But before these people won the Super Bowl, even right before, you can easily look up pictures to where, fans of opposing teams would have a goddamn head of a native on a spike and just sitting there and cheering and boasting said head on a spike, when as a whole that sits there and that degrades the name and the lineage of so-called natives. I'm saying that'll make our people, and I mean our people as a whole, feel like that we are, absolutely nothing. Because a man can sit there with the head of a chief on a spike as if it's nothing, smiling and laughing. And then the youth of our nation, so they'd be like, you know what, I don't want to be a leader amongst our people. I don't want to sit there and show our people right from wrong, because by doing so, shoot, America views us as being nothing more than a laughing stock. Because that's what the Chiefs did of our nation, is they teach us right from wrong. They'd lead us, they'd guide us. And then when America sits there and promotes, laughing at and getting entertainment out of a Chief's head on a fucking pike, the youth of our nation, they don't want to be a part of that. And the true leaders, and I mean absolutely true leaders of our nation, because not everybody can be a leader, no matter how much we want to sit there and lie and deceive ourselves. Only a true leader will sit there and teach our people, especially our young men, that, you should rather face death before you face dishonor. You should be ready. You should be ready to have your head on a spike before you sell out your nation to another people that hate your goddamn guts. But instead, so many natives in and on the reservations sit there and they not only promote, but they love these teams that represent the downfall of our people. Some of us, we look at the Chiefs like, that's racist. That's something that should not be portraying so-called natives because of what you got opposing teams doing to our mascots. But we should also look at it as something that is completely disrespectful to our ancestors. We should look at it and be like, this is a negative image of my, great grandfather that died for our people. But instead, Americans are portraying them as, someone that is just nothing more than a sideshow. Something that's more than entertaining for these people. Slovakia. But due to the way that we were brought up in America, and thinking that, it's all fun and games. Us as a nation, we don't speak out against these things. And if we do, we are not taken seriously. Because at the end of the day, we give too much of our love to our oppressor to be taken seriously by these people. So if we want to be taken seriously, we should have been boycotting a very long time ago. We should have been speaking out against things a very long time ago. And no matter how long it took, we should have just kept up with it. We should have rather have wished death upon ourselves before we, wish love in our enemies. It's like, we're going to go from the top of that verse 16. Cursed shall thou be in the city. And so we went over poverty in our own cities. And we went over not only that, but going into America's cities and facing the discrimination that it is that they brought against us as a nation. I'm saying, but we're also going to go into but we're also going to go into how it is that we can not only upkeep, but make sure that our own neighborhoods and communities can thrive in the land of America and what is supposed to be our own communities. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much, us as a whole sit there and beg and plead, like, then our oppressor is always going to make sure that he gets what it is that he needs out of us as a nation. And so we can sit there and we can preach unity, and as a whole in our communities. We can sit there and we can, bring out different solutions as to solve our problems of poverty and the reservations. But at the end of the day, due to the love that our people have for our oppressor, it truly doesn't matter what it is that, we bring out as a whole, because we've been taught to give everything that we got to our oppressor. So I'm saying, one of us might be taught to sit there and give nothing but love to our own, but at the same time, whether we're at school or work, around those that influence us, that ain't our guardians, we will still give every single bit of our love to our oppressor. We'll ensure that he thrives while we sit here and struggle in, the ghettos and the reservations. like it. Like, and cursed shall thou be in the field. And so, which is why us as a people across any, obviously any reservation across America, if you just avoid and not look at the cities that are erected inside of our lands, whether cities or towns, slacking. You can see us as a whole being afflicted by our oppressor. I'm saying if you just simply drive across the countryside, I'm saying you can see all the houses that are just absolutely run down. You know what I'm saying, in our respected nations, houses that are damn near put together through, damn near debris. You know what I'm saying, houses that just have debris laying everywhere in their yards, whether it's a goddamn broken down car, it's like a lawnmower. You know what I'm saying, debris from damn near what seems like a garbage dump, all for us to sit there and say that, it's like one day we'll use these things for, for future purposes or future generations. You know what I'm saying? Whatever excuses that we got, when there is no other nation that is living in such conditions. No other nation is living to where junk is piling up in our yards and on our properties, and sitting there and saying, oh, well, one day we'll use it. I'm saying the only people that say such things are white people, are European people. And if you don't know, then now you do. The European people are the most disgusting bastards that will hoard and keep every single little thing, even if it can't be used, you know what I'm saying, to profit or benefit them in some way. Like it. It's like I'm bringing it from the top, from the second half of that verse. And cursed shall thou be in the field. So we already went over how natives all across America are living in rundown houses. I'm saying, but that also goes into not only rundown houses and debris, but that also goes into how so many houses across reservations are simply abandoned. Whether somebody couldn't pay no bills on it, you know what I'm saying? Whether it was some major issue to where, obviously a nigga would freeze to death trying to live in said house. Saying, but our people are the only ones that face these conditions in America. You don't see no Asian, Arab, African, East Indian, or European sitting there and trying to live in a house that has, holes in the ceiling and places to where cold air is just, flowing in to where you damn near freeze to death. And that doesn't only go into, obviously certain houses, but that goes into whole nations. I'm saying, for instance, in Pine Ridge, I'm saying, they were recognized as the poorest county in the United States. I'm saying, someone that is supposed to be getting all types of benefits and help from the U.S. government, and not only the U.S. government, but from whatever native government set in place. So, like, I'm saying, our people, we're supposed to be getting benefits, but yet at the same time we are amongst the poorest. I'm saying, we ain't quite living in tents, but the way that our oppressor makes it seems, we might as well be up in said tents. So, like, let me go to verse 17. Give you a second to get there. So, like, I'm gonna take time to answer one quick comment in the comment section. Slacky, I lost it. Slacky. Oh, here it is. I say some of the comment section talking about giving or talking about us being Canaanites and giving our daughters to Canaanites. I'm saying, first of all, I'm saying that the nation of Israel should never give their daughters or their sons to some filthy, disgusting, bone-eating Canaanite. I'm saying, for those of you that don't know, that is referring to Africans. I'm saying, Africans sat there and they sold our people into slavery. They made deals and bargains with the white man in order to make the most profit that they could off of our people. Stinking Arabs in order to ensure that they could make the most that they could off of our people, not giving a damn about what happened to us as a nation. For every so-called, Black, Hispanic, or Native that thinks that we come from, Africa, that think that we are the same people as these disgusting bastards, just know that we are a completely separate nation. We are a people that are supposed to be above these disgusting people. I'm saying somebody that was chosen by the Most High God to rule over said people. Because whether you believe it, accept it, understand it, or not, there are natives out there in the reservations and in the border towns of the reservations that think that we come from Africa. You know what I'm saying? They think that our I'm saying our people, we might have migrated from Africa, which if you know history, I'm saying you know that happened in 90 AD when the Romans sat there and invaded our nation and forced us to flee into Africa. And obviously some things happened to where it ended up us being divided as a nation, and then half the nation, fleeing into South America and the Americas. But Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we are not African. We ain't East Indian. We ain't Asian. We ain't no goddamn Arab. We most certainly are not white. I'm saying we are the 12 tribes of Israel. So-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native. The sooner that we stop trying to bring all these disgusting nations into what is our birthright, the sooner that us as a nation, as we can grow and build as a whole. You know what I'm saying? But that's only, until then can such things happen. I'm saying, and there ain't no way in hell that no, so-called natives should be looking at these other nations as, someone that can bring us out of our oppression, out of our poverty, no matter what promises it is that they can make to us. I'm saying no matter what benefits it is. I'm saying these people have been oppressing us for 400 plus years, but yet we still remain in the same condition that we've been in for, since Europeans first invaded our lands. Curse shall be that basket in the store. So if you sit there and look at, all throughout the reservations, no matter what city or town or tribe it is that you're either passing through or, truly looking at, you can see as a whole to where, our people, we are truly struggling in what is supposed to be, our own towns, because we don't have our own stores. We don't have these places to where we can provide our own necessities as a whole. But yeah, there's so many natives out here that want to argue and plead and sit there and say that, just because we can grow our own crops, we are self-sustainable. Meanwhile, just because you can grow a handful of fucking corn, it don't mean that you can sustain the whole nation. And the same goes for your neighbor, your neighbor's neighbor. your neighbor's neighbor, so on and so forth. I'm saying, us as a people, we don't truly know what it means to be able to sit there and sustain a nation as a whole. Which is why you sit there, you grow a single goddamn tomato plant, and all of a sudden you know what I'm saying, you're Jesus. All of a sudden you can do any and everything that you set your mind to. It's like, so when in reality that is very, very far from the case. When in reality, it's going to take more than just setting your mind to something in order to bring our people out of the oppression that we have been going through for over 400 years. So like, Slovakia. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap up our short little class. Saying one thing natives all across the reservation have to realize is that we are not the same as these other nations. Saying we ain't the same as an Asian or an Arab or European or one of these disgusting Africans. I'm saying we are somebody that is supposed to be, set apart, something that's supposed to be held to a higher standard than these other nations, which is why these other people can sit there and mix amongst one another. You know what I'm saying? Why these other people can sit there and be drug addicts and homosexuals and whoremongers, all these different things, because the Lord don't give a damn about them. And in fact, all these different things is really a part of the culture of these other nations. You know what I'm saying? Because they've learned to be nothing but wicked in the eyes of the Lord. So wacky. Wacky. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get into the closing announcements. Just security announcements. We got the I.S.U.P.K. Start off 1 West and 25th Street on New York. Rule for new brothers and sisters. A new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to marry. Slaki. Get permission from the head to speak to brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After the 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment, which means tenth in the Hebrew, Ma'ashara. Book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21, and book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 to 10. 10th in the Hebrew, Ma'ashara. Shalaki. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to treasury department or teacher. Priest fund is a free will offering for priests. It's not mandatory. It's whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations, which is the Passover. So in fact, the 51st annual Passover, hosted by Commanding General Yahanna, is April 9th in Harlem, New York. So you can go to our page to get the exact address, to get hotel booking information. You know what I'm saying? You're going to want to most definitely book your flight in order to be on time for this most, joyous of occasions. I'm saying Passover is the top of the top of holy convocations. It's something that you don't want to miss, especially for the 51st annual Passover. You know what I'm saying? To date. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black boots, shirts, pants, headband, or a war scarf. Block you. Saying we're going to get into the prayers. And so I majum, which means to stand. Punyakudam means turn and face the east. We're going to get into the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Shabbat Shemayim, Kwadash, I.S.U.P.K, Yahweh, Malakwaka, Daba'ah, Ratazaika, Aisha, Barataza, Kawa, Bashamayim, Nathan, Lanawa, the come, call, Yawam, Wasalakanaw, Kawawathinaw, Kasalakanaw, Kawawathinaw, Wala, Dabawainaw, Banasaya 1, Baba, Awashayanaw, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalaka, Wa Slaki, Wa Ala, Wa the Para, La Walamyam, Amun. The Lord's Prayer in English. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, Thy kingdom come, earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation. Slaki. As Slaki. But deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Slaki. And the glory forever, so be it. Amen. Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Babakashah, Nathanael, Hakak, La Rapa'ah, Kal Makalah, Mukal Marawa, Hakak, Tahar, Hamatazarayim, Hakak, La Hakim, Hamathim, Hakak, Rakawath, Atamahalu, La Garshan, Ba'ashem Yahushai, the water Aman. For the power in the English, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out in the name of Yahushai. Thank you. So be it. Pray for the blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh, wa Yahushai, wa Mnyakalu, wa Lahayim, Matazabiah, Alawapyahana, Halawapyam, Hazaranyam, Hakwatazayanyam, Hakayayayam, wa Kwathian, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, the water Aman. Pray for the blessings in the English. Bless you, Yahweh, and Yahushai, and Michael, and the angels, commanding General Yahanna, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters. Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, thank you. So be it. Blessed are you, Yahweh, King of heaven and earth, and all things living. Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, listen to us now, right now. Send evils and curses and punishment and death to the heathen that speak against us, thy prophets, the teachers, the princes, the priests, the Israelite brothers, and the school. Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction and death to the heathen, and shake loose the pockets of the rich of Israel that refuse to give to the school. Force the riches to enter into thy sanctuary. Send evils and curses and punishment and destruction and death to the Edomites and the nations and their drug dealers, the court system, the prison system, Planned Parenthood, all the governments of our enemies, Amalek synagogues and armies, Roman Catholic Church, the Pope, Islam, Christianity, Egyptology, militia, Ku Klux Klan, Aryan Nation, skinheads, posse, the gay movement, the lesbian movement, spies, workers of witchcraft, NASA space programs, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Wall Street. Open up the internet and the airways, the cable access channels, the radio channels. Convict the spirit of any of thy people that seek to stop us, and bring swift death to all the heathen that stand in the way or try to stop us from broadcasting thy words throughout the planet Earth. let loose all the terrorists, cause them to go to and fro throughout the earth and destroy, cause the terrorists to come against America and destroy them in their strongholds. Let America shake at the hands of the terrorists. Let Yahushua, Michael, and Gabriel come down with the flying saucers and kill all the heathens that come up against us as we speak thy word. Cause it to be known by all that it is the angels that have done it. Cause it to be spread throughout the media, throughout the whole world. Cause them to shake at thy coming. In the name of Yahushua, thank you. Always, so be it. Sar, which means turn. We can give a courtesy salute to the brothers, men of Israel. Imajim Shabbat, Imajim Barak, Yahweh Hashem Yahshua Barakathum. There's a matah. Gonna give a courtesy salute to the sisters, men of Israel. Imajim Shabbat, Imajim Barak, Yahweh Shamar Al Thumb by Hashem Yahshua. There's a matah. Class dismissed.